Welcome to Jason in the Kitchen. Today we're going to make my mother-in-law Elia's pork tamales and red chili sauce. So let's get started. Alright, so we're making tamales. The first thing we're going to do is to cook our pork. This is 6.8, about 7 pounds of pork. You can use pork shoulder, you can use pork leg. This is boneless. Got it at the Mexican grocer. It just said boneless pork meat, and that way we don't have to cut it up. It's already cut for us in the chunks. You can get a pork shoulder and cut it up yourself if you'd like. And you just want to cover that with water. Then to that, I'm going to add 3 large cloves of garlic, 4 bay leaves, and 4 slices of onion. So this goes into the pot. Gonna put it on medium heat. It's gonna come to a simmer, and we're gonna watch our heat. We want this to simmer until the meat is tender, and that can take a couple hours. We just got to keep an eye on it and check it until the meat is tender, and then after the meat is tender, let it cool down and shred it. So I'm just going to work the onion down in there. This is to season our meat and our broth. And then I'm going to put I'm going to put some salt in here. Three good pinches of salt in there. Okay, now we're gonna toast our chilies for our sauce. I have 6 ancho chiles. I've got 5 guajillo chilies, and I've got 3 chili moritas. Now you want to make sure when you use your chilies, especially if you get them out of a bag, you want to make sure that they're nice. See how this is nice and shiny and it's pliable? That's what you want. Even though they're dried chilies, you don't want them too dry, like this one here. See this one where it's all dried and cracking like that? You hear that? That's not what you want. So that is trash. So you want to make sure your chilies are nice and shiny and flexible. And what we're going to do is we're going to take out the seed and the stems. And I've got a pan heating on medium-low heat so we can toast them up. So just real quickly, just to seed these, you can use kitchen shears if you like. Just tear them open and put the seeds in the trash and the stem and the seed pod here at the top. All right, that's how you do it. So I'll do all these and then we'll be back. Okay, our chilies are done, but I want to come back to our stock and our meat here. We've got some scum coming on the top here. You just want to scrape the top. Try to get as little of the liquid as possible. You just want to get the scum off. And you just want to keep doing that throughout the process to get all that off the top. Okay, so finished cleaning our chilies. Make sure you wash your hands in cold water. You could wear gloves if you want to, but make sure you don't touch your eyes or your nose or anything like that because they will burn. and it's not pleasant. Do your best to get all the seeds out, but if you still have a few seeds remaining, it doesn't matter. We're going to blend it and strain it anyway. The guajillos have a tough skin, and you really need to strain the sauce to get the skin pieces out that didn't get blended up in the blender. Okay, so then I've got a mixing bowl on the other side here of our pan so that I can put them in there after I toast the chilies. So you want to take your chili, open it up, and then you put it into your skillet, push down with a spatula so you toast that side. It'll change color and you can smell it, and then that's when you turn it over to the other side. Now you don't want to do it too long or else it'll burn, and the burnt chili isn't good. Just takes a second on each side and put it in your mixing bowl. Now, I learned how to make tamales from my mother-in-law when we were in Mexico in Veracruz. The way that she taught me to do it was to fry the chilies in a little bit of oil. And that's fine, you can do it that way. But I found that this way, just toasting it like this, and then we're going to soak them in hot water, it doesn't, you don't get too many fumes in the house. I'll just say that because sometimes you have to open up the doors and everything because, and the windows, because it's hard to breathe. So we're just going to toast them like this in the pan instead of frying them. But if you want to fry them and you have no problem with that, you'll still get the chili fumes in the air doing it this way, but I just find it not to be as strong if we don't fry them. I will say too that it's important to cook with your family. You know, cook with your grandma, your mom, your dad, whoever does the cooking. Get those family recipes and get them in writing. So that way you can pass them down, you know, to your kids and your grandkids, because my mother-in-law is no longer around. She's in heaven now. But, you know, I'm so thankful that we got to cook together so I could get this recipe and some other recipes from her. You know, time is short, and when family and friends are gone, they're gone, and you don't get that time back, and coulda, shoulda, wouldas, you know, come into your head. So make sure you get those recipes, cook as a family. It's important. Save those traditions. Alright, so I'm just going to continue toasting these chilies. And then when we're done, I'm going to cover them with hot tap water, cover them with a plate, and I'll be back. Alright, so I've covered our chilies with hot tap water, and I've covered them with a plate to keep them submerged. And this will take 20 to 30 minutes to get them all softened up, so we can put them in the blender with the rest of our ingredients. Okay, our meat and our broth has come up to a boil, so I've turned it down, the heat down to a simmer, and then I've skimmed the top again. And now what you'll start to notice is that you'll get some oil up on the top from the fat in the meat. You can skim that off if you like, or you could keep it in there. People like it both ways. So however you like it, you can skim some of it and leave some, but that's a decision up to you. All right, so I have a teaspoon of Mexican oregano. Mexican oregano is not the same as Mediterranean oregano, so make sure you get the Mexican. We have about a quarter teaspoon of allspice and 1/8 of a teaspoon of clove. I've got 2 pounds of Roma tomato that I've cored and quartered. I've got three large cloves of garlic, about that. And then I've got about half of a small onion. And then I have our chilies already in the blender jar, ready to be blended, that I've drained. This is what Mexican oregano looks like. It comes in the whole leaf form, and you'll see some stems in here too. If you see any stems, just take them out. And then what you want to do is rub the oregano between your hands to break it up, and it brings out the oils and the oregano and the aroma. Now, just a quick note on the tomatoes. My mother-in-law, Elia, she would take out the core and she would boil the tomatoes in hot water and then shock them in ice water and then remove the skins. If you want to go through that process, you can, but we're going to blend it and we're going to strain out any skins anyway. So it's up to you if you want to do that process, or maybe your family does that process as well. So however you want to do that. I prefer now to just cut them in quarters and blend them as fine as I can. All right, I was barely able to get everything into the blender. Now we're gonna blend this on high, and we're gonna blend this as fine as we can get it. Of course, if you have a Vitamix, this will be a lot better process because it will really grind up those guajillo skins and those tomato skins really fine. But if you don't, it still works. Don't worry, we're gonna strain them out anyway. So here we go. All right, I let it run for a few minutes. Looks like it's pureed pretty well. Now, if you have trouble getting your blender going with all the stuff in it, turn it off, smash it down with a wooden spoon, and start it again. And do that again until it starts doing it on its own. Some people like to add the chili water that you soaked, the soaking liquid that comes from soaking the chilies. I don't like to do that because it has a tendency to be bitter, and I don't want that bitterness in my sauce. You can taste the water ahead of time, but for me, it's just not worth the effort. You can add a little bit of water, but like here, all I did was smash it down and it pureed fine on its own. Okay, so our meat is ready. It is fork tender, so we just need to let that cool so we can shred it. Strained out the broth. Now we need to strain out our sauce. You can do this right into the pan, but I prefer to do it ahead of time because you're putting it into hot oil, and I just want to make sure that I don't get splashed, or splashed as much, I should say. So yeah, you just run this through a strainer like this until you get all of that chili sauce out. And then with this, I'll just put a little bit of broth in there, swish it around, pour it in there to make sure I get all of that out. And then we'll be back when we're done. Okay, all the pork is nicely shredded now. Took out quite a bit of fat from it. You can discard the fat. You could fry it up as a snack, whatever you want to do with it. But now that we have our pork shredded, I've got a pot heating up with some lard, and what we're going to do now is we're going to fry our sauce. Okay, our pot is smoking now with the oil. Very carefully now, we're going to put our sauce in there. Be careful because it's going to splatter. Alright, turn down your heat a little bit. Kind of makes a mess, but It's a crucial step in the making of a red chili sauce. All right, going to turn it back up a little bit now that's not splattering. Now what we want to do is we want to cook this down. We want to cook it down till it's thick, like the consistency of tomato paste. Then what we're going to do is add some broth back to give it a sauce consistency, and then we're going to add our shredded pork. Well, before we add our pork, we're going to season it. So I'll be back when this is reduced down and we add our broth, and then we can season it. Alright, I had this sauce reducing on medium-low for a while until it got thick, about like tomato paste. I'm going to show you what we got here. See how that thickened up? That's what you want. That's crucial in getting your chili sauce to the right flavor, because reducing that like that brings out all the flavors and concentrates them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some stock to bring it back up to a sauce consistency. So we're adding the stock to bring it back up to a better consistency. I've got a 4-ounce ladle here, so we'll see how much we need. Might not take very much. And then with the rest of your stock, you're going to use that for your tamales, for the masa for tomorrow. Alright. I think I got pretty good consistency here. Now I'm going to season it. When you season a red chili sauce, first you want to season with salt, and then you season with sugar. Sugar's not going to make it sweet, it's just going to bring up the flavor of those chilies. So don't leave that out. So I'm going to add some salt now. Good pinch. Remember, there's a little bit of salt in our stock. So I'm going to add a good pinch, stir it around. And we'll see where we're at. Okay, we're going to need some more. Going to add another good pinch of salt. Stir that around. Taste it. We're getting close. I'm going to put another pinch and that should do it. All right, salt is good. Now I'm going to add some sugar. Start with that. That's about half a tablespoon. We'll see where that gets us. That might be all we need. I think we need a little bit more. And put another half. We're about half. Let's see where that takes us. Shouldn't need more than that. All right, there we are. Now we're going to add our meat back. I do want to say that when you're tasting it, if it's too spicy for you, you can add some more pureed tomato to make it not as spicy. If you like it spicier, then you can add some more, you can add some canned chipotle chilies, or you can do some more dried chilies. We don't like our tamales too spicy because we like to be able to taste the meat and the sauce and everything. Some people like their tamales very spicy, but we do not. So you make them how you like them. When you make your chili mix, you can add some more moritas, which are your spicier chilies. They're smoke-dried jalapenos, like chipotle. Or you can add chili arbol, or you can add chili piquin, which are your spicier chilies if you like a really, really spicy tamale. But for our family, this is going to be fine. Okay, now that we got the sauce where we like it, we're going to add all of the shredded pork. Get it all in there. All right, now we're going to stir it up. Push it all down in there. Let it cover, that sauce cover all of that pork. Now these are pork tamales with red chili sauce. There's all different kinds of tamales you can make, but these are our family's favorite. You can make chicken with tomatillo sauce. You can make sweet tamales, corn tamales, enchiladas de mole. All right. See how we have that shredded meat in there, and that sauce covered all of that meat where it's wet, but there's no sauce at the bottom of our pot. So our meat is nicely coated with sauce. It's moist, it's wet, but we don't have any extra sauce at the bottom of the pot. And that's what you're looking for. If not, you can add more meat to get it to this consistency, or you can drain off some of the sauce if you have too much. So now I'm going to taste this again now that we've got everything incorporated. See how it tastes all together. That's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chill this, and then tomorrow I'm going to make the masa dough for the tamales. We're going to add the filling to it, and then we're going to wrap our tamales and steam them, and then we'll be ready to eat tomorrow night. It's a long process, and if you don't have a lot of help, I like to break it into 2 days, so that way you can see this took quite a while today just to do the meat and the sauce. So then tomorrow we'll take care of the masa, and then we'll make our tamales. All right, to make our batter for our tamales, I've got 20 ounces of fresh pork lard that I've had in the refrigerator to make it firmer. more creamy. And then I've got a tablespoon of baking powder, and I've got 4 teaspoons of salt. You can measure everything right into your mixing bowl. So I've mixed 7 cups of dried masa harina with 4.5 cups of hot tap water. You can see it's nice and crumbly, but if you squeeze it together, it'll stay together like that. So that's the consistency that you're looking for. And then I've got 2 to 3 cups of our pork broth that we got from making our pork yesterday. There's all different kinds of masa harina that you can use. I highly recommend this kind if you can get it from Hacienda. It's made with heirloom corn from Mexico, and it is far superior than the other stuff you're going to find at the grocery store. You can order it online at their website, or they have it now at Whole Foods. All right, we've also got our pork with our red chili sauce. I've taken it out of the refrigerator. Yesterday, I actually added a little bit more salt to it. You need to make it a little on the salty side than you normally would because it's going to be wrapped in the masa. And so in order to taste the filling, you need to put a little bit more salt than you normally think you should to put it on the salty side. It'll make it taste so much better, I promise. And then I have soaking in some hot tap water. I have our corn husk. So you want to soak those in hot water until they become pliable. Okay, so we're going to mix our lard mixture on low until it's nice and creamy. And then we're going to add our masa and 3 additions, and then we're going to add our pork broth. Okay, so our lard, salt, and baking powder has been mixed together. Kind of looks something like icing, cake frosting. And so now I've added 1/3 of our masa mix, and now we're going to beat that in, and then we're going to add another 1/3 and then another 1/3. Okay, our masa is nicely mixed together. So now we're going to add 2 cups of the pork broth, and we're going to mix that in and see where we are in consistency to see if we need to add any more. You want this to look like a cake batter. That's the consistency that we're looking for. These are going to be nice, light, and fluffy. All right, so I've whipped it up, whipped it on high for a little bit. And then this is the texture you should get. Should be nice and light, like a soft cake batter, but you don't want it runny. And then I'm going to give it a little taste. It tastes good. You need to, like I said, you need to have it taste a little saltier than normal because when you steam the tamales, it's going to affect the taste at the end. So you want it a little saltier than you normally would, just like the meat. This is as much batter as I could fit into the mixer, but this amount here will make approximately 48 tamales. So we're gonna see how much we need. We're probably gonna need another batch at least with the amount of meat that we made. Okay, here's our tamale pot. I filled it up with water. You just want it underneath your rack. And then we're gonna put corn husk on top. Try to find your smaller corn husk to lay at the bottom. Put them in all different directions until you get the bottom completely covered. And then when we finish rolling our tamales, we're going to put them in here to steam. And we'll be back. This is how it should look, like a nest. All right, to make the tamales, you take a corn husk that's still wet. You want to make sure they're nice and pliable. You want to use the big ones if you can. Open them up. Then you put fingertips full of the masa onto the corn husk. Then you have a little bowl of water next to you in order to spread it out onto the corn husk, so that way the masa doesn't stick to your fingers. Then you spread it out. You want the big side on the bottom and the small side on the top. And then you put in your filling. You don't want to put too much filling, but you want to put enough. And then you fold in your sides of your corn husk together. And then you put the masa edges together. Seal it up, fold it over, and then you tuck in your tail. And there you go, there's a tamale. Then you put it in a bowl on the side with the tail end against the bowl so it doesn't unwrap. And then we do it again. Take some masa, put it into your corn husk, spread it out. If it's sticky, put your fingertips in a little bit of water, spread it out. And then you put in your filling. And then you fold it up, make sure the ends of the masa meet together. Then you fold over your corn husk and then fold up your tail. You want to make sure you don't put too much masa into your corn husk, because then you'll have a ratio that's off from your masa to your meat. And you want to make sure you have nice fluffy tamales without having too much masa. And then you just keep doing this until you get all of your tamales rolled, and then get some help from your family to pitch in. And then when we get all these done, we're going to put them in the steamer and we're going to steam them. So we'll be back. All right, we used up all the masa, and this is all the tamales that we have made. All right, so when you put the tamales inside your tamale pot, you want to make sure you lean them against the wall with the tail against the side. And then you just keep going around in a circle until you get all your tamales in the pot. All right, we got all of our tamales in the pot. We managed to get 47 into this size pot. So depending on the size pot that you have will determine how many tamales you get in there. And you don't want to crowd them either, so that way they have a chance to puff during the steaming process. So we're going to cover these with more corn husks, the ones that aren't good to use for tamales. And then we're going to cover it with a lid. And then we're going to turn the heat up. And then when it starts to boil and it starts to steam, we're going to make sure we turn it down for a low steam. And we're going to cook them until they're ready. Hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. So we have 13 tamales that wouldn't fit into our tamale pot. So what we're going to do is lay these on a sheet pan, and we're going to freeze these, and then we're going to put them in a Ziploc bag. Tamales freeze great, so you don't have to worry about that. Just these are uncooked, so we would take them out, unthaw them, and steam them like normal when you're ready to have more tamales. We've also had some meat left over. So with the leftover meat, you can make more masa to make more tamales, or you can use that same pork and red chili sauce and make some wonderful tortas. So we'll be back after the tamales have steamed. All right, let's see if these tamales are done. Okay, the best way to tell if a tamal is ready is that you open it up, and if it sticks to the corn husk still, then it is not ready yet, and you put it back in and test again. But as you can see, the masa is not sticking to the corn husk, so this one is ready to go. Love tamales. We don't make them too often, usually just once a year. It's good. You shouldn't eat them like this directly out of the steamer. You need to let them rest about 15 minutes, kind of firm up and get that masa a little bit more firm. Well, that's how we make my mother-in-law Elia's tamales. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and God bless you.